Welcome to Essential Partners' 30th Anniversary Gala and Founders Award presentation. Made possible by generous support from the Lawrence S. Rockefeller Fund and the Charles Koch Institute. I'm John Saroof.
And I'm Katie Heighton. John and I are the co-executive directors of Essential Partners. And we are so thrilled to welcome you tonight as we celebrate the history of this organization, the legacy of our brilliant founders, and the enduring importance of our mission.
At Essential Partners, we envision a world of thriving communities, strengthened by difference, connected by trust.
We bring about this more connected world by empowering people to transform their own communities, their schools, and their workplaces. We train people and teams to design and lead reflective structured dialogue, our trademark approach. Then, when someone is trained, we support them in perpetuity with coaching, learning opportunities, and resources that help them meet new challenges, like the pandemic.
We are committed to being essential partners to all those who do the hard work of tending to their community, whatever it looks like, whatever their struggles might be.
We're also incredibly grateful to you, our community. We hope that what you see, hear, and experience tonight will inspire you to make a generous gift in support of our mission. Now allow me to welcome our Gala's incredible Master of Ceremonies, Amory Sivertson.
Thank you, John and Katie, and good evening and welcome to you. I'm Amory Sivertson, co-host of the WBUR podcast Endless Thread, which is made in partnership with Reddit. So for the uninitiated, Reddit is one of the internet's most vibrant spaces of public discourse. You'll find stories and discussions that will absolutely restore your faith in humanity, and you'll find things that remind you of just how crucial the work of an organization like Essential Partners is. It has never been more important for us to talk about differences of values, beliefs, and identities in ways that leave people more connected, more understanding, and really more human. We're all here tonight to acknowledge Essential Partners' role in connecting us and in creating that understanding. And I'm truly honored to be your Master of Ceremonies tonight as we celebrate this organization's 30-year history, its impact, and its future. We're going to meet three outstanding peacemakers and community builders during the Founders Award presentation, and you're going to have a chance to engage in a structured dialogue led by Essential Partners expert practitioners. But first, let's take a look at the incredible impact of this organization over the last 30 years.
For more than 30 years, in over 40 countries, in all 50 states, Essential Partners has helped people live and work better together by building trust and understanding across differences. Essential Partners was founded as the Public Conversations Project, or PCP, in 1989. One of our first and most formative projects was a confidential dialogue between pro-choice and pro-life leaders after a tragic clinic shooting in Greater Boston.
The pro-choice people were afraid there would be another attack. The pro-life people were afraid there would be a retaliatory attack against them. If you want to change a dysfunctional conversation, you have to create an environment in which people feel safe enough to be able to listen differently and to be able to speak their strongly held views in ways that don't simply piss off or alienate or injure the other party. What we did was to develop a really versatile methodology for engaging differences, particularly differences involving values and worldviews.
These people were as committed to their position as I to mine, and that I felt that we could develop a relationship, and we did. We came to love each other in spite of the fact that neither one of us changed our opinion in the least.
Part of what I think PCP has to offer to the world is a space in which it feels safe to speak about what is most important to you in a way that you can be heard. I can disagree with you and I can like you. and I can advocate passionately against you on that issue and still live with you.
There can be enormous interpersonal and social utility to having a conversation where the purpose is really just to try to understand somebody who sees the world differently. That was a huge insight for me, and those insights run throughout my work and certainly throughout difficult conversations.
Our approach, reflective structure dialogue, can heal communities after years of conflict, repairing the trust, rebuilding relationships, and making space for unheard voices. The goal is not to erase difference, but to embrace our differences.
The goal of this project is the inclusion of refugees in Jordan, to promote multiculturalism and create a sense of appreciation and of diversity and communal living.
I learned that disagreement can be surrounded with so much grace and love and even humor, and that forgiveness happens in the midst of it all.
What I'm taking from this dialogue is that there are a lot of perspectives, obviously, about this issue.
I think right now we're so polarized in our beliefs that if you don't believe like me, then you're wrong. And not being able to say, hey, we can have a difference of opinion and still get along. We don't have to agree, but at least hear me out so you can know where I come from.
The dialogue really opened up a bunch of viewpoints for me. I was able to discuss some hot topics in a nice, safe environment where there wasn't really high tensions. There was still emotion and validity, but it was very open and you were able to share.
To transform your community, it is essential to have trust and mutual understanding first. The work of dialogue makes real change possible.
I think we have this beautiful mix where we're able to say, we're going to talk about what's important to people, but we're going to talk about that in a way that allows people to communicate about why that's important. And in those spaces, that's where we can come together and find a way forward together that might not be kind of tied up in a beautiful bow of an agreement, but will probably last longer and be more full.
We have some antidotes that can fight back the ideologies of terrorism, fanatism, and other sorts of violence in this world.
Using a facilitator, using processes gets more done, gets more results. It makes creating participation easier. I think that's probably been our greatest organizational impact, is more contribution. So we're getting stuff done.
As we build on our past work and look forward to the future, what was true at our founding is still true today. We remain dedicated to creating a world of thriving communities, strengthened by difference, connected by trust.
Ladies and gentlemen, diversity and working with each other and standing up for each other and being a true community is not something that you do on Monday and forget about it by Friday.
The Public Conversations Project Dialogue promotes that mutual humanity of feeling. No matter how divided you are, we are all human beings.
So let us go together as one humanity.
The lasting influence of the visionary founders of Essential Partners can be across the fields of dialogue, community building, and peacemaking. Their work influenced Harvard University's Negotiation and Mediation Clinical Program, the Frank Zeidler Center for Public Discussion, Heterodox Academy, Ben Franklin Circles, Convergence, StoryCorps, and Facebook, among many, many others. Someone who's continuing their legacy is Dr. Montressa Washington of Shenandoah University. Montressa, take it away.
Hello, my name is Dr. Montressa Washington, and I am an assistant professor of management at Shenandoah University, which is located in Winchester, Virginia. At Shenandoah University, I teach courses in entrepreneurship and human resources. I was trained with Essential Partners about 3 years ago and have been consistently and diligently bringing dialogue to my classrooms and to the campus. I feel the work of Essential Partners is so important because as I work to prepare young people to launch their careers in management, it's important that they have some skills to be able to, one, put their voice in the room, and two, listen to others and provide a space where people feel empowered to be part of the conversation. I personally support Essential Partners because this is probably the best way that I have found to create equity in the classroom. All are welcome to participate, all voices are important, and everyone is empowered to speak their truth. I urge you to join us in supporting this work with a gift right now. And you can do that by clicking the donate button on the screen. We want to thank you again for supporting Essential Partners, and just know that this is good work, it's important work, and it's definitely work that we need right now in order to make this world a better place. I now have the distinct honor of welcoming Jessica Case, whose mother, Laura Rockefeller Chasen, co-founded Essential Partners in 1989 and was Essential Partners' heart and soul until her passing in 2015. Jessica joins us from her home in Wyoming. Welcome, Jessica.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Case. I'm the daughter of Laura Chasen, who was a co-founder and the guiding light of this organization for over 20 years. On behalf of myself and all my siblings, thank you so much for joining us tonight. The mission of Essential Partners was very important to my mom, and I'm proud to continue supporting it as a partner, contributor, and a passionate advocate. When we were kids, and my mom knew we had a tough day ahead of us, her advice was usually this: don't forget to breathe. I still hear her words now when I'm grappling with a challenging situation. Breathe. Taking time to find the breath, be in the stillness, and create space has guided me through so many difficult conversations and helped me stay grounded when my voice falters. It has also made me a better listener. I see now how Mom's simple advice was a seed for what would later grow into the philosophy of Essential Partners. Helping people make meaningful connections across their differences was my mom's greatest passion. Today, the visionary legacy of my mom and her co-founders thrives like never before. It is embodied by tens of thousands of people around the globe who use reflective, structured dialogue to forge strong communities that embrace pluralism, diversity, and peace. What a gift. Essential Partners is proud to honor 3 of these extraordinary collaborators with the 2020 Founders Awards, presented to those who work to create a world of thriving communities, strengthened by difference, connected by trust. My warmest congratulations to the recipients of this year's Founders Awards, and my thanks again to all of you for making these stories possible.
Thank you, Jessica. And now I have the pleasure of introducing the 3 winners of this year's Founders Award, starting with Kate Dieter Meriday. Kate is a court mediator, an activist, and a mother of 3 children. She's being recognized for the Police Community Dialogues Project in Raleigh, North Carolina. Kate, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Also with us is Betsy Hayes. She's the Lawrence C. and Carmen C. Miller Chair in Ethics and Associate Professor of Sociology and Division Head for Humanities and Social Services at Bridgewater College in Bridgewater, Virginia. She's been engaged in a campus-wide dialogue initiative there for the last 8 years. Betsy, welcome to you.
Wonderful to be here. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and Shella Khan. Shella is a member of the strategy team for PATH, a social welfare organization in Howard County, Maryland. She represents Muslims of Howard County PATH, and she's being recognized tonight for her involved program called Courageous Conversations, which we're going to hear more about in just a minute. So Shella, welcome to you.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Well, first things first, congratulations to you all. I wish we could all be together in person, but it's great to see your faces all the same.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'd love to start by hearing just kind of a brief overview of the projects that you're being recognized for today. So Kate, can we start with you?
Yes, so for the last 4.5 years, I've been working on a project to build and strengthen relationships between law enforcement and African-American citizens in our community.
Great.
And I'm located in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Betsy, why don't you go next?
So I'm at Bridgewater College in Bridgewater, Virginia, and I've been working on a project that builds dialogue or embeds dialogue on a college university campus so that students are more adept at sharing perspectives, listening with respect, and learning how to navigate difficult conversations.
Great. And Shella, same to you. Oh, I think you're muted, Shella. The people want to hear you.
So hi. So Courageous. I'm in Maryland, in Columbia, in Howard County. In Howard County, we started like 3 years ago. In 3 years ago, Courageous Conversation, which were intended to lead the dialogues, courageous dialogues and courageous actions. And I'm so nervous. Sorry about that.
No, Shella, see, you're a rock star. We're here to honor you. So you just sit back and take it easy. I'm going to go back to Kate for a second, because Kate, I want to talk about the roots of your project a little bit, because I hear that this police community dialogue project can be traced back to, I think it was a friend's barbecue that you went to. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, sure. So for me, when Philando Castile was killed, that was a watershed moment. I'm an attorney and a mediator, and I have 3 children, 2 of whom are African American, who we adopted at birth. And we were having a block party in our neighborhood, and it was right after Philando Castile was killed. And then also there was a police officer in Dallas who had been shot in that same 2-week period. And so the police had come to the block party to interact with the children. And my daughter was about 5 at the time and was in the police car and talking. They were letting them do the lights and so forth. And some of the folks that came to the block party were talking to the police officer and making some negative insinuations about the Black Lives Matter movement. And I felt compelled to speak up and ask the police officer what we're doing in our community. Folks like me who are pro-police and pro-Black Lives Matter and want to work on building and strengthening those relationships. So it was an interesting conversation. I really appreciated that he was willing to engage, and it was the catalyst for this project. I found the Essential Partners on the internet and contacted them, and it went from there. And we're now 4.5, 5 years in. We have conducted a number of trainings of both police officers and community citizens, and it has really caught fire in the Raleigh area, and we're just working to continue to expand. We do need funding to be able to do this work and expand, so we appreciate everyone who is generous with their donations to support this work. It really helps the folks on the ground to be able to make a difference.
Shella, I know the roots of Courageous Conversations, it was inspired, at least in part, by Elijah Cummings, right? Can you tell us more about that?
So in 2017, late Congressman Elijah Cummings and Delegate Vanessa Atterbury, they met Reverend Turner, who is one of the member in PATH that I work with, the organization, People Acting Together in Howard County. That's what PATH stands for. So they both, late Elijah Cummings and Delegate Vanessa, they met Reverend Turner, and they were just like, in 2017, there was events were happening, Black Lives Matter and all these things were happening, when even Colin Kaepernick, like when he was at the anthem and all. So that was a catalyst for the first meeting. And when they met here in Howard County, they were thinking of something related around the race. That's how it all started. And when they discuss, we had this open, I think, event into November of 2017. So after that, like Reverend Turner found this core team for Courageous Conversation, in which 6 of us were members, like including me from the Al-Taqwa Mosque, and Reverend Paige Getty from Universal United Methodist Church, Unitarian. You want me to read their names, so I don't want to. So Reverend Paige Getty, Unitarian Universalist Congregation, Reverend Rod Miller, United Methodist Clergy, and Rabbi Susan Grossman, Beth Shalom, and then Reverend Turner was from St. John Baptist Church, and Father Jerry Brown, he was from St. John the Evangelist Roman Catholic Church. So we all met after our main event, and then we wanted to continue from there onwards. So in 2018, we kind of started our very first Courageous Conversation, but that was monthly apart. Like we had like almost 6 host sites, and we had almost 200 attendees, and we made small groups. And we are very thankful to Essential Partners for at that time giving us the training for these courageous questions. And our main point was naming it as a Courageous Conversation, like that the people in their home or what they are not feeling comfortable about. It's not about like your regular question circles, like I have attended so many circles here in Columbia. Like it's all about discussing stuff, but it's not like something that you feel uncomfortable of. So that's how our main circle were designed, like how to ask those questions. And that was the first year, and it's almost 2 years now. And then the next year we were more kind of organized, and we had less host sites and more people get involved. In our culminating events, almost 400 to 500 people attended both the events. And so that's how it all started.
Wow, that's great. Betsy, I want to turn to you. You were talking about creating dialogues on campus at Bridgewater College, and you've referred to the campus actually as a dialogic campus. What do you mean by that exactly?
So our efforts began with kind of an idea that we wanted to build what at the time we were calling academic citizenship. We wanted our students to understand that in the classroom and outside the classroom, we thought certain levels skills on civil discourse, perspective taking, how you reason together, and how you find your voice were essential to democracy, and essential to how we learn and how we humanize the classroom space. And so we had this sort of big picture idea of what we wanted to do. And we discovered, as my colleagues have, Essential Partners, and brought them in to help us build skills specifically around reflective structured dialogue. And we were amazed by how quickly our students became our best ambassadors for this. So I suddenly had a crop of students who formed a dialogue club. They became skilled facilitators. The faculty started tapping them to say, oh, I've got this really difficult conversation I'm going to have in class, so I want this student to come help me facilitate. And they began to build a swell of faculty buy-in, if you will, so that now we train all our first-year seminar faculty and the upper class students who partner with those faculty as peer mentors in reflective structured dialogue, so that this is how our first-year seminars carry conversations. And it's now moved out into the culture of the campus more broadly. So when my college president, David Bushman, talks to the campus community, he talks about speaking to be understood and listening to understand. And in a world that's heavily polarized, this, I think, is incredible for undergraduates to be learning. These are transferable skills that they'll use throughout their lifetime.
And when you say reflective structured dialogue, can you give us a quick example of that?
Do you want a concrete example, or do you want something that sort of explains a concrete example? Okay.
Yeah, I want to be able to take this out into the world and use it myself, starting today.
Okay. So first you need to know the purpose of your conversation. Why are you having this conversation with somebody? What's the core purpose that you want to bring to this? You want to come with some questions of genuine curiosity. And when you ask that question, you want to frame it in such a way that the other person can tell a story about their own experience, their lived experience, the values and beliefs they have. And you want to share the airtime. So it's very democratic. Everybody takes time to speak. But one of the pieces that I think is so valuable is that everybody also takes time to reflect. So before we actually begin the conversation, we have time to think about our response. And that prepares us to listen differently. We're not listening with, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Or, oh my gosh, how am I going to challenge that person? We are actually open to listening fully, so that as people go around the circle and share their experience, I'm now presented with the complexity of the human experience, the complexity of perspectives that are in the room, the fact that all of us are more nuanced and carry more ideas and thoughts and more places where we feel tensions than are often open to us hearing when we have different kinds of conversations. Does that help? Have I done that well, ladies?
It does help, yes. Well, let's go around the circle with another round for you all. Kate, you started your police community dialogues program 4 or 5 years now before George Floyd was killed by police in Minneapolis, and before we saw these global protests that we're now seeing against racism and police brutality. And I'm wondering how you've seen the work of your program in action during this particular time.
Sure, and I just need to give a gold star to Betsy before I get started, because it is, the Essential Partners method is so wonderful, and it really helps people to avoid the patterns of yelling and screaming and cursing at one another, because it is so structured. And there's also preparation that takes place before getting to the table often. But it is difficult to explain, and I just thought Betsy did a terrific job explaining it. So yes, gold star. So what in response to your question, what I would say is, I'll start with an anecdote from my experience. We have, over the course of the years, conducted some trainings. And when I say we, myself, a team of folks in this grassroots effort in North Carolina that I've assembled, and then collaboration through Essential Partners. None of this would be possible without Essential Partners and their unique method that I really believe in. So we've conducted these trainings, and then also dialogues. And a few years ago, I convened but didn't facilitate a dialogue between 3 law enforcement officers and 3 citizens, but it was actually co-facilitated by an officer and a citizen who had experience going through the program, and they volunteered. And this group met 4 times. And as we were leading up to the first session, there was one individual from the community who is an activist and vocal, and there was some tension between this particular individual and one of the law enforcement agencies, such that that particular agency said, I'm not going to come to the table if that person's participating. And so I was able to broker a deal and negotiate with them, and everyone came to the table. And now they did the 4 sessions together several weeks apart, and that was about 2 years ago. And when I reached out to all my friends and colleagues in the wake of George Floyd's killing, to check in on folks and see how they're doing and sort of regroup going forward with the project, I learned that for the past 2 years, that particular law enforcement agency, that this one particular detective and that particular community activist are now friends and have, for the past 2 years, flowing out of the dialogue, they communicate with one another and they help one another, and they have built this relationship where they can say, hey, there's some confusion here in the community. Can you help me figure out what's going on, or help each other in that way? And so they formed this alliance. And it's nuanced. It has to be, the community member in particular has to be sort of quiet so that she can be effective in her community about this relationship. It's very complex, but it was something that was really heartwarming for me to learn that particular relationship was born from this dialogue series. One of the things we're trying to do, and I'll wrap up, but one of the things we're trying to do right now is focus on doing listening circles and dialoguing with community-only groups and law enforcement-only groups, because everyone is feeling battered and depleted right now. And we have pivoted our project slightly to, for lack of a better characterization, so to give TLC and hear how we can do some listening, how can we best support one another, and then continue moving on with the dialogues together. So that's one of the changes that we're navigating in the wake of George Floyd's death and everything that has come from that.
That's great. And Shella, so many just conversations in general around topics like race and religion and politics and the kinds of things that you guys are taking on in Courageous Conversations, a lot of those typically happen online or on social media, where we don't have to look anyone in the eye, we don't have to say anything to anyone's face. And yet your program, that's kind of the point, right? Is to get people in the room and have these conversations face to face and in person. So I'm wondering how you think that changes the dynamic of the conversation. And if you have an anecdote or an example that you want to share about something that you've witnessed since your program has been going on, we'd love to hear it.
So I think this was our main intention, like people sitting face to face. And so we tried to, at the beginning, and Essential Partner did a great job, like how even the setup of the questions. And as Betsy was speaking about the reflective, I never had this word, but this is how we, the Essential Partners trains us, like asking the question, and everybody has this plenty of time with their own notebook taking points, and when they're ready, they can speak up. So yeah, so we made our group as diverse as we can, religious-wise, faith-wise, and as well as race-wise. So this is how we were doing even in all, like last year, actually not last year, this year, 2020, we had the circles in February. So we tried to, in all the 4 hosting congregations, we tried to make the diverse group. So what I remember, so there were sometimes people have, but the good thing was they can listen If there is a race bias, if there is a religious bias, they can ask that question, especially in the last two conversation circles last year and this year. We had more designed towards, like, even if you want to ask any question in the group, like maybe when you have been asked, you might not have answered, or you didn't ask someone else. So if they have a question for Muslim, they have a question for a Jewish person or a Christian, or we had so many faiths, like we had almost like 56 to 60 congregations that participated, like from Baha'is, from all like Mormons, and all these different faiths. So that's all. Like if I want to ask something directly to some Christian, or they want to ask something directly, so we had that also designed in that one. But out of these conversations from the past 3 years now, we have seen like so many, like the people continued. They want to meet like in the small groups. They just want to like, there was a group that was like, came out of it, like movie at this place, and the walk around Lake Kittamakindi, which is our very main lake in our county. So many groups are still meeting, and they still got into this relationship that otherwise, like in this county, like I have heard so many people, like every, like even in our mosque, even at like few of my friends who are in churches, like they said, this is something like, especially when it was going on as a courageous conversation, everybody wanted, oh, what happened last night? What happened? We learned about this. We learned about Mormons. We learned about this. So every place you have these small groups standing outside these congregations, because ours is faith-based, and Muslims meet even for daily prayers and then on Fridays. So you can see these small groups discussing that events. And also, like I remember then out of these, like understanding Islam, understanding like there was a class Islam 101, and then there was Judaism for dummies, like stuff like that. So they started all these classes, and you can like share your events, and that's how like people engaged more. I have seen people engaging more, either for walks, for movies, inviting like the small groups, because our circles were like around 10 to 10 people in one circle. So they built also very strong relationships, inviting each other for Ramadan, for something in a Jewish house or Christian house. Like they were sharing so many events also beyond courageous conversation.
Oh, that's great.
I hope
you
I
did.
answered
You did.
your question.
Yeah. I feel like I can, visualize how these conversations actually happen now, which, in a time where we're all virtual and we don't get to gather in a room together, it's kind of a nice image to conjure up. So thank you for that. Betsy, you were the co-principal investigator on another project in collaboration with Essential Partners called the Dialogic Classroom, Teaching for Humility and Civic Engagement. I feel like teaching civic engagement is a concept we are more familiar with, but how do you go about teaching humility? And if you have an example that you want to share as well from your work, either about just teaching humility or teaching students how to engage in this kind of constructive dialogue, we'd love to hear.
I think one of the most interesting pieces that we've been learning from that project, and it was a research project that included a number of universities across the country, Southern Methodist University in Texas, Tufts University, and Gordon College, and Endicott in the Boston area, and then of course Bridgewater down here in Virginia, and of course it's spread out from there. But one of the fascinating things that we discovered is oftentimes when we think of humility, we think of sort of being careful with our intellectual power, right? Being thoughtful and holding ourselves open to others. But in the process of doing this research, one of the pieces that we found that students also needed was how to claim their own convictions, and to claim their convictions in such a way that they could hold them and simultaneously be open to hearing and understanding the convictions of other people. So that was powerful for us. In terms of what we discovered about teaching in this way, and I hope I'm moving in the direction of your question, is that it really is born out of decentering, if you will, the faculty member. The faculty member really has to step back and share the space in a new way with their students, which is a different kind of humility for the faculty member, for the professor. But our research has led us to discover that what's powerful about this is how it opens up students' sense of belonging. The sense that students feel that they belong in this classroom, that they belong with this diverse group of people that they're in the space with. I love this idea of courageous conversations, because that's, in a sense, we're trying to create safe enough spaces for students to engage with each other. And just as important, particularly in an educational context, is we're discovering that this kind of dialogue actually helps students learn. It takes them into the content in a deeper way, because it connects their lived experience with the course content in really exciting ways. Yeah, it's been a fabulous project. I'm blessed to work with amazing people. So this is my shout out to my intellectual humility team, because I couldn't do this without them. They are awesome.
Well, that is about time for the three of us, but you are all just terrific. I'm certainly coming out of this myself feeling like I'm ready to have more courageous, reflective, open conversations, not just because it's a nice thing to say, but because it's truly what the world needs right now. So I appreciate and value all of you, Kate Dieter Meriday, Shella Khan, and Betsy Hayes. Thank you all for your great work, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And our thanks to Essential Partners.
Kate, Betsy, and Shella are among the more than 3,000 people that Essential Partners trains every year. And every year, those alumni engage hundreds of thousands of people in transformative community projects around the globe, which means the impact of this work is really exponential. Essential Partners empowers the people on the ground in a community and gives them the tools to solve the problems they're facing right now, and helps them tackle whatever is going to come down the road. So now that you've heard from some of EP's partners, let's meet the practitioners who make these kinds of stories possible.
I am Fuebe Sinclair.
I'm Kathy Eccles.
I'm Meenakshi Chakravarti.
I'm Sally Ann.
My name is Nadia Brock.
My name is Eliza O'Neill.
Hi, I'm Bob Staines.
My name is Ray Rose.
I'm Meg.
I'm Adam Otenko.
I'm Maggie Herzig. I'm one of the founding group.
I'm Richard Chasen. I was husband and work partner of Laura Chasen for 44 years.
I've been a practitioner with Public Conversations Project and now Essential Partners for 26 years.
Since 2016.
Since 2000?
About 4 years.
Since 2018.
30 years.
5 or 6 years.
Since 2007.
Since 2016.
Since around 2017.
The heart of this work for me is heart.
Possibility.
Respect.
Being heard.
Complexity.
And to create a space for other people to be themselves fully.
To help people better understand and improve their most important relationships.
To build relationships that lead to genuine change.
And Essential Partners allows people to share their stories.
Uncovering the complexity of our experiences.
People find courage.
Feel like they don't have to be alone and want to have different conversations.
To achieve mutual understanding by speaking and listening deeply.
To transcend the many walls that we put up between who we are and who we most want to be.
Witnessing opponents recognize the wholeness and complexity of each other is like being at a birth.
A conversion of hearts toward one another among enemies.
To really speak about it with the anger and with the hurt, but in a way that it could be heard by others and for them to listen to others as well, listen to each other.
Building more inclusive communities, and even as part of working towards dismantling oppressive systems.
A different, more constructive and more compassionate future is possible.
This sounds a little hokey, but it's actually authentic. I do want to leave the world a better place.
I think that love matters.
It is so joyful to see so many friends here tonight. Dialogue champions, early practitioners, former board members, partners and collaborators from our entire history. Thank you. Thank you for whatever part of this 30-year journey you've been on with us. And thank you for making the next 30 years possible tonight. I'm with you, live, living and breathing, broadcasting from our office at Essential Partners here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. When we made the move to a virtual gala, there was one part we could not let go of, as complicated as it turned out to be, the opportunity to connect with each other in some meaningful way. It's just too much a part of who we are. Now, when we go out into the world, we hear over and over that our work gives people a renewed sense of hope, no matter what the challenges are they're facing. When they connect with each other, they build hope that living and working together is possible, hope that a shared future together is possible. So, for the next 15 minutes, we're inviting you to talk about what your hopes are. What do you hope for your community? And what do you know about your community that leads you to believe that that hope is possible? So, you've each been pre-sorted into breakout groups in Zoom. Each small group has an essential partners facilitator to guide you through these mini dialogues. They'll invite you to respond to a question, and then you'll have a little time at the end to notice any connections that you've heard. Because of the time constraints, we can only accommodate one person sharing from each computer. Now, if you still have it open, you can go back to the same Zoom meeting where you began to join your small dialogue group. If it's not, that's okay. Just click the button at the top right corner that reads Join Breakout Dialogue, and that'll take you there. All right? Enjoy, connect, and I'll see you back here in 15 minutes. Welcome back. Thank you again for being here tonight, and thank you for all that you've done, all that you continue to do to advance this important mission. I wish you peace and courage for your days ahead. And now, our MC, Amory Sivertson, is going to introduce you to one of my favorite partners. Take it away, Amory.
I'm very pleased to welcome our special guest for the evening, Victoria Reggie Kennedy. She's the co-founder and president of the board at the Edward M. Kennedy Institute, dedicated to continuing the legacy of her late husband. She's also a trustee of the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. She serves on the board of directors of the National Leadership Roundtable, and she's a member of the Commission on Political Reform at the Bipartisan Policy Center. Mrs. Kennedy is senior counsel at Greenberg Traurig LLP, where she advises clients on governmental and regulatory issues and helps them devise strategies to resolve complex business problems. Victoria Kennedy has been a leading voice on the empowerment of women and girls in our society, and she's an advocate for expanding medical research and access to healthcare for all Americans. Here's Victoria Kennedy.
Hello. What an honor it is to be with you to celebrate and recognize this great milestone for Essential Partners. 30 years of helping to bridge differences by facilitating conversations in a way that encourages trust and respect. I don't think we've ever needed the work of Essential Partners more than we do today. I've been lucky enough to see the work of Essential Partners firsthand. When the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the United States Senate wanted to develop a way to help teachers navigate respectful conversations on difficult topics with students in their classrooms, students who had strongly held opposing views, we turned to Essential Partners to work with us. Your professionalism and understanding of how to do this work are second to none. We believe that our democracy thrives when we have a diversity of ideas, ideas that can be articulated and expressed freely and openly and respectfully. The extreme polarization and even outright ridicule of opposing ideas that we are seeing far too often these days, even from our leaders in government, unfortunately, is a serious threat to our republic. All of us know the most difficult conversations are often the most important ones, so we need to be able to have them in ways that strengthen rather than sever community bonds. Quite literally, our future depends on it. We must give new generations the tools to do better. And Essential Partners does just that, building trust, connection, and understanding across differences. And what a cause for celebration that is. So, to all of you, thank you for what you do. I'm honored to join as one of your supporters and biggest fans to participate in this virtual gala to wish you a very happy 30th anniversary. Our society has never needed you more.
Hello. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. My name is John Lloyd. I am the founder of Magnet Inc., one of tonight's sponsors. I'm also a proud member of the board of Essential Partners. My story is this. I was searching, about a year ago, I was searching for a place where I could contribute more time and energy to a cause. Lord knows there are plenty of problems calling for our attention, so I went shopping. And in the process of shopping, I came across my neighbor Meg, who introduced me to Essential Partners. I was enthralled by the mission. I thought, wow, this is long overdue. It's time that we started talking to each other in a constructive manner. And I loved how the process touches upon virtually every problem or solution known to mankind. So as I said, I was interested, and they went to Cambridge, and I got to meet the crew at Essential Partners, and that is when I fell in love. They are just an incredibly talented, hardworking, dedicated group of people, and I wanted to be part of their scene. So I joined the board, and then I took some of their trainings. I saw how they work firsthand, and then I got to look at the books, and what I saw is that they are a lean, mean peace-building machine. They use their resources very prudently. It matters to them greatly how the money is spent, and that was so important to me. Finally, I heard the stories from the field, and just listening to people talk about how they came to the process stuck in their position on things, stuck in their opinions, and through the process, Essential Partners carried them to a place where they were willing to create positive change. And to me, that's everything. We need a transformation, and Essential Partners is the vehicle that can get us there. So please donate generously. By doing so, you become an Essential Partner in staging these dialogues, which bring us closer to solutions, stronger communities, even friendships, and maybe even love. Thank you so much. Have a great night, and hopefully someday we can all meet in person. Good night.
I now have the genuine honor of making a surprise announcement. At the request of Essential Partners, October 11th, 2020 will be celebrated as Laura Rockefeller Chasen Day in the city of Cambridge. Laura co-founded Essential Partners in Cambridge. It was known then as the Public Conversations Project, and she lived in the city with her husband Dick Chasen for decades. Laura was our guiding star, a committed mentor, full of humor and care, and one of Greater Boston's shining lights. She always looked for new ways to make real and lasting connections between people. Her spirit lives on in our mission, in our approach, and in everything that we do. Some of you may recall that October 11th is also Laura's birthday.
We'll be getting together virtually on the day to read the proclamation and toast our beloved late co-founder. And this coming Tuesday, October 6th, we'll host an open house for anyone who wants to learn more about how to get involved with us. Look for more details about both events in your email and on our website.
It has been an enormous privilege to have you all with us tonight. This work would not be possible without all of your generosity and faith over the last 30 years, and it will only be possible over the next 3 decades with your continuing support.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here tonight. Thanks to our Gala sponsors, the Lawrence S. Rockefeller Fund, the Charles Koch Institute, the Hoffman Institute, Magnet Inc., and Family Therapy Boston, as well as to our wonderful and supportive board of directors. And now, to close out the evening, I send it back to Amory Sivertson.
On behalf of the board of Essential Partners, its practitioners, staff, and founders, thank you so much for joining us tonight and for supporting the work of this remarkable organization. If you've been moved by what you've seen and heard tonight, if it's given you hope that no matter how divided the world seems at times, there is a way forward together. And if you believe, as I do, that a contribution to Essential Partners is an investment in that way forward, I hope you'll consider making an additional gift. And if you do, remember to add a 0 to the end of it. I'm Amory Sivertson. If you need a new podcast to help get you through these times, I hope you'll check out Endless Thread from WBUR. And in the meantime, please take good care of yourself and each other. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Louise O'Kane from Community Places in Northern Ireland.
And I'm Aidan Campbell from Rural Community Network.
And we'd just like to thank Essential Partners for their fantastic support to us in our engagement projects.
Best wishes and congratulations for the last 30 years, or gorgeous, as they say in Irish.
I'm Rabbi Jay Moses from the Wexner Foundation. Essential Partners, you are doing holy work in teaching people to speak with civility and respect across difference. Congratulations on 30 great years of work, and thanks for all you do.
Hello, I'm Álvaro Martinez from Asunción, Paraguay, and I just want to thank and celebrate the big contributions that Essential Partners make to the conversation that allow us to listen, engage, and transform our communities and our societies. Thank you so much for your work and your commitment. Thank you and happy anniversary.
Hello, I'm Andy Wolf, principal of Newburyport High School. Just want to say congratulations to Essential Partners on their 30 years. Feel very fortunate to have been connected with them this past year. They have really helped us go to the next level of activating student voice through constructive dialogue. So congratulations on all of your accomplishments over your time.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane McGlennon. I had the privilege of being Public Conversation Project's chair of the board during, I would call, its adolescence. I was so grateful for having learned as much as I did about creative listening while I was chair of PCP, and it really has affected my life in a positive way.
My name is Howard Garsh. I felt very privileged to have been invited to serve on the board as treasurer of what was then the Public Conversations Project. I'm delighted to be here celebrating PCP/Essential Partners 30th anniversary, and I'm gratified to be in a small part of this wonderful, important, and inspirational organization.
Hi, this is Paul Waite in Melbourne, Australia. Essential Partners does such important work in dialogue and communication. Congratulations on reaching your 30th anniversary. Happy birthday. And I'm sure the important work that you do will be needed over at least the next 30 years. Well done. Woohoo!